read the title. We're watching this video.
Disney was warned for years that their live-action remake of Snow White would be an abysmal failure. They ignored the warnings and
Yo, I'm not gonna lie to you. Rachel Zegler, take this movie.
Instead made every wrong decision possible, leading to a box office bomb. Theaters around the world are empty. The film sold 50% less than they projected. It earned a 1.6 out of 10 star rating on IMDb, a 20% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The CGI dwarves will give you nightmares, and the little people they replaced with CGI have filed a class action lawsuit against Disney.
Actually, W, bro. I hope those little people get mad money.
Walt Disney himself
Stand on the money, get tall, you know what I mean?
Is turning in his grave because he personally requested that the company should never change, alter, or remake Snow White, but they did it anyway by casting Rachel Zegler, who insisted that they change the entire film to make it more politically correct. Rachel called the original Prince Charming a stalker, insisted that Snow White was not yearning for love, but actually dreamed of being a leader. Rachel also demanded she be paid more for, quote, standing in a dress for 18 hours.
I've seen all these clips, and I think what people really just didn't like is how, like, she came off. You know what I mean? She came off real like, you know what I mean? Like, she came off real, she's ugly. No, I wouldn't say chat, let's be fucking realistic here. Yeah, she tanked this film, but she's not ugly. Like, what are we talking about? That ass bob on her head, that bob is hideous, but she's not ugly. But she for sure tanked this movie. Absolutely 100%. She was a PR disaster, dude.
Zegler created so much controversy that Disney had to hire a personal security detail for her co-star Gal Gadot because of the countless death threats she was receiving. This movie is an absolute dumpster fire, and Rachel's response to the film bombing
they gotta take her phone away.
Proved that everyone's suspicions about her were correct.
I'm a narcissist.
And yet none of that has anything to do with why people were suspicious about Rachel Zegler in the first place. In 2018, Rachel's friend sent her a tweet about an open casting call for Steven Spielberg's film adaptation of West Side Story. So 16-year-old Zegler recorded and submitted an audition tape.
Bernardo and Anita argue all morning about a fight that's gonna happen tonight?
Now, she was definitely a promising young talent. She spent her childhood acting in countless plays and developed an impressive singing voice. Rachel was just one of
oh god, dude, you have no clue, bro. Those audition tapes, my brother did like a few audition tapes and I had to read for him. You already know how that went. I can't read for and I was just making him laugh the whole time. It's really funny, bro. But he got the part in like a Netflix thing too. It's fucking crazy.
30,000 who auditioned for the role of Maria. Without any professional acting experience, an agent, or connections in Hollywood, she was selected for the lead role. Her performance earned critical acclaim, and she went on to win the Golden Globe for actress in a motion picture, musical, or comedy. The industry plant accusations were formed because some people simply do not believe that a no-name actor could get this lucky. She was basically hand-selected by Steven Spielberg. Then again, with the entertainment industry being flooded with nepo babies and people born into immense wealth, Rachel being essentially a random girl from New Jersey securing an A-list role actually might be a step in the right direction for Hollywood. However, they may have chose the wrong girl because her inability to—
Wait, is she the one that was in Hunger Games, or am I bugging? Yes? I liked her in that movie. I don't think she's a bad actor. I think she just really fucked up PR, if I'm being honest with you. Those interviews that she did just made it seem so bad, to be honest.
To keep her politically charged opinions to herself started to cause problems for Disney executives. As if West Side Story wasn't already a massive introduction to Hollywood, her next role was even bigger, one that could set her up for a lifetime of success, and that was being cast as Snow White in Disney's live-action remake of the classic. Rachel chose to make this monumental announcement on Twitter where she wrote, "Yes, I am Snow White. No, I am not bleaching my skin for the role." Rachel deleted this tweet shortly after sending it out to the world. However, the reason she brought up her skin color in the first place was to address the criticism she was receiving online.
Oh no, she's getting rage baited. Oh no! Don't read the comments! That's the rule! That's the #1 rule! Don't read the comments! You're gonna get rage baited! Trust me!
In the original fairy tale and the 1937 animated film, Snow White is depicted as having skin as white as snow. It is quite literally the inception of the princess's identity. But Rachel Zegler is of Colombian descent and has more of an olive skin tone. Now, there definitely were some extreme takes, suggesting that Disney is evil and only casting POC characters to cause outrage.
Oh, bro, I'm not gonna lie. There's like a bunch of right-wing motherfuckers that be going in on this. Look at Little Mermaid, mother. That's some bull. Look at this Rachel Zegler, mother. And like that, they do not pull punches, brother. When I open up Twitter, anytime something's announced, I'm like, God damn, what the f? They be going in. I be catching strays. I'm like, oh shit. But you know what I don't like, bro? When motherfuckers of color do create their own characters, motherfuckers always got something to say too. You can't win, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, so get a bag. Get a bag.
There were also some blatantly racist takes, but most people were just genuinely confused why Snow White wasn't going to be white. And this does seem to be a recurring theme for Disney these days. The original 1989 animation of The Little Mermaid depicted Ariel as a white woman, whereas the 2023 live-action remake cast Halle Bailey as Ariel.
This is the girl that was, that's with DDG, right?
Who is African-American. And yes, this film was also accused of pandering, trying to change something that was a non-issue in the first place. However, defenders pointed out that mermaids don't have a race because they are not real. Normally, these controversies lead to failure, but the film grossed over $560 million worldwide and made a solid profit. But Zegler insisted that the Snow...
Can we just pause and honestly agree that every single remake and live action that they do is dog shit? It will never come close to the original, ever. And they're just lazy cash grabs. Can we be honest? I feel like they're starting to cast people with different races and stuff just to rage bait, so it takes away from the actual film and how shitty it is. Because they all fucking suck. All these live actions are fucking terrible, bro, if we're being honest.
Remake was based on an alternative version of the story, one that doesn't have to do with her skin color. She said,
that's a big brain, bro. They bring nothing new, and if anything, they try to redo stuff. Like when they try to bring something new, it's always some bullshit. Like what Rachel Zegler was saying, like, oh, a stalker, ill love story, ill type shit. You know what I mean? That is someone's original story and you're gonna go try and put a spin on it. Just literally go make your own, if we're being honest. You know what I mean?
Go back to another version of Snow White that was told in history, where she survived a snowstorm that occurred when she was a baby. And so the king and queen decided to name her Snow White to remind her of her resilience. One of the core points in our film for any young woman or young person is remembering how strong you actually are. And while this may seem like a small nuance that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, it was an insight into the major changes that were coming next, because the more Zegler talked about the film...
Like, come on, chat. Y'all can't lie. She good looking, bro. She good looking. Terrible PR, but let's not be unrealistic here, okay?
The more it seemed like it was going to be a disaster, particularly in this Variety interview where...
Okay, it's the Bob. If we're being honest, it's the Bob. Also, this lady, hold on, YouTube, look at this.
You know, I didn't think Gal Gadot was that bad of an actress, but after watching this video, how does she still have a job?
Enough champagne to fill the Nile. Kalel, no. Max Lord, you're putting yourself and everyone else in grave danger. I need you to give me the stone.
I need you to give me the stone. I need you to give me the stone. This sucks. Oh my God, this like, bro, I'm sorry. The TikTok was going viral. That blows. I mean, I'll be honest. I watched almost all her movies, and I didn't realize how bad her acting was till like it was in a TikTok. If I'm being honest with you, and I think the reason is because she's kind of hot, and I feel like that's pretty privileged. If we're being honest.
Where she talked about how she and the writers are giving Snow White a modern twist.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince. She's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
It's so wrong. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like Snow White is such a classic, and then you're just gonna on it. Just fucking go make your own movie, lady. Please.
Snow White dreams of being a leader? Why not write a totally new story instead of remaking the old ones? It has nothing to do with Snow White. Zegler, there is nothing wrong with dreaming about true love. But people were not overreacting in the comments. Zegler supported stripping this classic story of its roots.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her.
It's so hard not to not like her, bro.
Yeah. Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
Rachel's tone might come off silly to some, but it is evidently so sarcastic. Referring to Prince Charming as a stalker is inaccurate and disrespectful. We are not talking about just any Disney film, we are talking about the first ever full-length animated feature film in history. This is quite literally Walt Disney's baby. Now, people are already a little apprehensive towards the countless remakes of old Disney classics.
Because they all suck. I'm gonna be, well, Mufasa wasn't too bad. Mufasa was alright, but like, I think it would have been way better if they just drew it. Just make Mufasa drawn. Why didn't they just do that?
But Rachel's lack of class and grace pushed anyone who was even a little open-minded away. Despite that, she continued to express her disdain for the original film.
I was scared of the original cartoon. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once, never revisited Snow White again.
What's interesting about Rachel claiming to be scared of the original film is that she also said the exact opposite during her press tour, showing pictures of her as a child in her Snow White dress and how she always dreamed as a little girl of being this princess.
What?
This constant flip-flopping along with her sarcastic tone just soured people's perception of her. But not only did she seem unappreciative of a Disney classic, she also made some interesting comments about her next role as Anthea in Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
What made you want to step into this world of DC heroes?
I needed a job. I'm being so serious.
While yes, even actors have bills to pay and need a job to do that, some interpreted the remark as snarky and annoying. Now, to be fair, later in the interview, Rachel does go on to express her gratitude for receiving this role, considering it was...
I don't think this was too bad, to be honest with you. I just think that people just don't like her from the Snow White shit. So anything she does, automatically people are just gonna be like, oh, this bitch. I feel like, why are you streaming? I need to make this money, you know what I mean? I don't know. She's low-key annoying. I don't know. It might be her demeanor, but again, I feel like it's all that hate coming from the Snow White shit, that it just, anything she says now, she could just breathe and it's just like, ugh, you know?
It's only her second Hollywood film ever, but her unapologetic attitude on the red carpet continued to stir the pot, and she just kept making it worse, specifically during the writer's strike of 2023. The Writers Guild of America represents thousands of writers in film, TV, radio, and online media. They are the backbone of Hollywood's content. Despite their importance, Hollywood executives restructured the industry to drastically reduce residual payments, leaving most writers with little to no income after their work is uploaded to apps like Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, etc. So the guild went on a strike to renegotiate and push for higher pay. Rachel Zegler also used her voice to support the strike.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
She's like everything people hate about this generation distilled into a single person. At this point, I'm sure you are noticing a pattern. While we hope that deep down Rachel's intentions are pure, and we hope that she truly is just trying to have an overall positive impact on the world, she has a terrible way of expressing her opinions, as her tone often comes off as disrespectful. Having 2 movies under her belt and already aggressively demanding higher pay came off extremely entitled, especially considering the strike was mostly for writers, because main characters, like Zegler, are often compensated extremely generously.
Damn.
By this point, her reputation was at an all-time low, and there were even rumors circulating that Disney was going to axe this film, as countless people expressed that Rachel Zegler is the sole reason that they would not go to watch the movie. But then somehow, Disney managed to make things even worse.
Oh no.
They announced that they would be changing Snow White's 7 dwarves to the more politically correct Snow White's diverse group of magical creatures of all sizes and genders.
You know, this is the fucking problem. Motherfuckers are trying to be politically correct. An average person does not give a about, like, we don't want to watch a movie and it feels like HR is watching with us. You know what I mean? We just want a good fucking movie. We don't care as long as it's entertaining. We don't give a why are we listening to Peter Dinklage? It's performative activism. I feel like that's the best way to say it. It's like, it's so performative that Disney really doesn't give a but they're just trying to be like, hey guys, we care about dwarves, so we're gonna do CGI instead of using real dwarves. You know what I mean? It's that stupid that no one asked for, but it's like you giving it to us. What the It's like you try to order a burger and they just like, hey, I made this vegan proof so then that way you don't have, you're not eating any meat because I know meat it kind of messes with your cholesterol a little. I want double cheeseburger! Give my double cheeseburger! Stop! You see what I'm saying?
Photos of the cast were leaked onto the internet, which sparked outrage. These look like medieval times reenactors at the local fair. Disney quickly responded and said that these were not pictures of the actual set, but Nobody believed them. The only reason Disney planned on changing the dwarves in the first place was because of a comment made by Hollywood star Peter Dinklage, who felt that the new rendition of the movie was not progressive enough.
I was a little taken back by they're very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White.
Yeah.
But you're still telling the story of Snow White.
Snow White, yeah.
Seven Dwarfs.
Sure.
So you take a step back and look at what you're doing there.
Yeah.
I know. That makes no sense to me.
Well,
you're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward.
Okay, so you're saying, how about don't recreate these shitty ass live actions? But if we are, stick to the source material. But if we're gonna do that, just make the old shit and then remaster that so it's like high quality animation or something. I don't know. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Why are these being made? No one is asking for it. Who's asking for it? Since when the f has anyone ever woken up like, I want to see Snow White but shittier? I want to see fucking The Little Mermaid but shittier. Since fucking when? Why? No one fucking wants it. Just make a new one. Make something new. What the fuck are we talking about?
Story of seven dwarves living in a cave to get what the are you doing, man?
Even though Peter Dinklage has built an illustrious Hollywood legacy with countless roles as a
love him in Game of Thrones, by the way. Actual GOAT in Game of Thrones. Don't care what anyone says.
Little person, he seemed pretty upset with Disney. They promptly responded that they would avoid reinforcing stereotypes and would be consulting with members of the dwarfism community to make the 7 characters more inclusive. Most people just looked at this as Disney once again pandering to another social issue.
Literally that. That's honestly what it feels like. And I feel like it's very obvious. It's very evidently so. You know what I mean? If it's not chat, like, do we not have eyes? Let's be honest. Do these companies genuinely care about the fucking problem? They don't give a okay? They just want to hey, come watch our movie. We don't have any dwarfs because we care about dwarfs. Come on.
But what often happens when trying to please everyone for the sake of being politically correct, you end up pleasing no one.
What they're doing is pretty much you're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, it's 4 dwarfs.
Disney was panicking for a solution to make both sides happy, and nobody could have predicted how bad their solution to this problem would be. Instead of casting real actors, Disney decided to eliminate them and use CGI dwarves instead, which will provide enough nightmare fuel to last you the rest of 2025. The dwarves look like scary monsters, not cute, charming friends. The overuse of CGI in this film allowed them to take shortcuts. Instead of creating detailed artistic sets and costumes, they relied on animation, which made the film feel cheap, hollow, and soulless.
That's
like
pretty much every remake, if we're being honest, bro.
Wasn't this supposed to be a live-action remake? Where's the live action? Why is there so much CGI? Why does it look like a really bad cartoon? Additionally, the significance of the dwarves to the story was drastically reduced. Grumpy and Dopey got a decent amount of screen time, while the other 5 dwarves were barely shown enough for the viewers to be able to—
I feel like I could fit in here and no one would even know. If I'm being— hold on. That this little one, I'm replacing them.
Snow White, there's a stalker outside. There's a stalker outside. Snow White, hello, Snow White, please.
Dude, tell me I don't fit in this fucking movie. I'm perfect for it.
To distinguish them from one another. Ironically, all of these decisions were made to avoid backlash from the dwarfism community, and now the little people who were removed from the film are now planning a class action lawsuit against—
As they should, because why are we taking jobs away from it and be like, it's just for your own good, little dwarf? You don't want this, little dwarfy? You don't want this job opportunity to feed your fucking family? Nah, f that.
It's Disney for replacing them with cartoons.
So dumb.
This is so ridiculous.
So dumb.
Actress Allie Chapman, who is 3 foot 8 inches tall, said, 7 talented little people actors could have played these roles in the live action remake, and yet they chose to use cartoons. It's an insult and discriminatory. You ever see one of those tragic situations where it's extremely foggy and there's a traffic jam on the highway and you have cars speeding into the fog just crashing into each other? That is this film.
Damn.
And surely it couldn't get any worse, right? Wrong, because now there was a major dispute between the two stars of the film, Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler. Fans noticed sometime between 2023 and 2024 that Gal and Rachel may have developed some tension. As you can see in this interview, Gal is being professional, looking and smiling while Zegler is speaking. But whenever Gal is speaking, Zegler refuses to look at her, often looking down at her feet or off to the side. Their body language screams that there is tension between them.
Lady, you're an actor. Start acting. What are you doing? Come on, bro.
And these assumptions would be proven true. When Disney released the official trailer for Snow White, Rachel thanked the fans for their support, receiving over 120 million views in 24 hours.
How many dislikes did it get? I'm kind of curious. 1 second. Oh my god. It has 1.5 million dislikes and 100K likes. Yo. Oh my god. Hold on. Wait. There's one that came out 4 months ago. This has 75K likes and 2 million. Oh my god. Holy shit. Yo, what the fuck did they do to make people so mad?
Use that big moment to make a political statement. And always remember, free Palestine. While some saw this as an honorable act of solidarity, others interpreted it as a jab at her co-star. Gal Gadot is Israeli and even served in their military. Gal has been outwardly supportive of her country, specifically posting support for the IDF and civilian hostages taken during the October 7th
so there's two opposing sides to this
Hamas attack. Almost immediately, Gal began getting a concerning amount of death threats. Things got so bad that Disney had to hire a personal security detail for Gadot. One of the Disney producers, Mark Platt, flew from Los Angeles to New York to have a personal crisis talk with Zegler. Platt had to remind her how much was at stake with the movie and her career before asking her to post heedfully.
I would just take, like, bro, what the f are we talking about, bro? Take the goddamn Twitter away from her. What the f? We got a little Twitter activist in this. Take the goddamn Twitter away. You take the Twitter away, we good.
The son of the Disney producer.
Millions. I'm gonna be honest with you. If Rachel Zegler, let's say like I don't know, I really have not watched the movie, to be honest with you. Maybe I'll go watch the movie. I'll let you guys know objectively if it's good or not. I know people try to get carried away and shit. I'll sit there and watch a movie. I don't give a. I'll sit there, I'll get my popcorn, I'll watch it. I'll let you guys know how it actually is. I'll be honest, you already know I'm critical about shit. I feel like this is gonna be like her last time working on something. Like, she just seems like a nuke. Like, how do you fuck up Disney Snow White? I feel like that's huge. There's like no way you could fuck it up. She managed to fuck it up. There's so much fuck ups. It's not only her, but like, I feel like she might have just ruined her career low key.
Producer was criticized online for his father trying to reprimand Zegler, to which he responded, "Yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires, at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged."
Damn. I don't think it was her actions. I think it's racist people. Are you f***ing delusional? What? You don't think it had nothing to do with anything she said? You think if she didn't open her mouth and say nothing, it would just be racist? If that's true, didn't fucking Little Mermaid do good? We aren't screaming like racism with that. No, it did. Yeah, what are we talking about? This movie tanked. Dumb chatters. Oh, it hurts. I'm getting rage baited.
Now, Rachel Zegler cannot necessarily be held responsible for the actions of other people. After all, her and her co-star are doing the exact same thing. They are just expressing support for opposite sides. But all of this could have been avoided if they just left politics out of a children's movie. But Zegler was insistent on making her political opinion heard at any opportunity she could.
Vote for Kamala Harris. And it's actually non-negotiable. Our rights are on the line, folks. Our reproductive rights. Come on.
What is Shrek doing?
Go vote blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
And what better time than immediately after the election of President Donald Trump. She posted on her Instagram story, "I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred, leaning us towards a world I do not want to live in. Leaning us towards a world that will be hard to raise my daughter in." She doesn't have a daughter, by the way. "Leaning us towards a world that will force her to have a baby she doesn't want. Leaning us towards a world that is fearful. I shouldn't be this shocked, but I am. I am heartbroken for my friends who awoke fear this morning, and I am here with you. To cry, to yell, to hug, to wax poetic on how the left continues to fail us in forging a new path forward. This loss should not have been." And
I know she got tore up for this, dude.
You're probably like, this. Fuck you, Donald Trump. Yeah, we won. Fuck you. Fuck your movie, you son of a bitch.
certainly should not have been by so many votes. May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. This sent the media into an all-out frenzy, particularly conservative media, who were shocked that Disney was allowing their star to publicly condemn half the—
I don't think her speaking her mind is crazy. Well, it's not crazy, but you got to understand, like, it's the Disney. So I feel like if you're going to be an actor for him, just talking about politics in general is just not a smart idea, if we're being honest. You know what I mean? Because obviously you can say one thing and you're going to have a whole bunch of people mad at you. You can say another thing, people are going to be mad at you, bro. It's dumb as a content creator. So I feel like if you're working for Disney, we're talking about the Disney, maybe let the movie drop, get your bag, and then talk your shit. You know what I mean? But you have like a professional duty to that company, I guess. But again, I mean, it is what it is. She spoke her mind. If she's happy about speaking her mind, it is what it is. But like, fuck around, find out, I guess. You could see the movie didn't perform well, and that's like, she kind of got to deal with that. You know what I mean? And I'm just saying, if let's say if another company wants to hire her to act, they're probably going to think twice, because they're like, oh, she can't hold her tongue for a little bit and then wait for the movie to drop. She might tank the fucking movie with whatever the fuck she says. You feel me? Politics is a very slippery slope, especially if you're like an actor, bro.
The country.
Hello, Disney. You're gonna have to redo your film again, because this woman is a pig, and you fired Gina Carano for far less than this nonsense.
Rachel finally crossed a line. Disney was officially fed up with her and decided to take action. First, I'm assuming they made her apologize because she redacted her comments she made about the election.
Hi everyone, I would like to sincerely apologize for the election post I shared on my Instagram last week. I let my emotions get the best of me. What it honestly feels like is like, I know motherfuckers is gonna be mad at me, but like, I feel like it's like someone that's just on Twitter too much, to be honest with you. It just feels like a chronically online Twitter person that just like got clout. You feel me? And that's it. Really at the end of the day, and it's just like at a higher stage. You feel me? If any one of y'all would fucking pop off and become an actor, they look at your tweets, motherfuckers gonna be mad. Actually true, that's what it feels like, I guess. They should have fired her before they started working in a movie. Well, you never know, right? You literally never know. When policies come into play, especially during this time in current situations, it's a bad slope. I feel like actors and actresses during this time especially have been very careful while still voicing their opinion. Yeah, absolutely, bro. If they fired her, then she would have had a bigger crash out. You think so? You could look at it like this, like, okay, well, what, you just want her to not say anything? I don't want anything. She could talk all the shit she wants. She could say whatever the fuck she wants. But what I'm saying is there's going to be consequences, especially if there's political shit going on. There's going to be consequences. That's all I'm saying. I want to be very clear about it.
From there, Zegler reportedly began working with a social media guru paid for by Disney to vet any posts before the film's March 21st debut. They essentially had someone monitoring her social media so she wasn't able to sabotage the film any further, but the damage had already been done. The film officially released in theaters worldwide on March 21st, 2025. There was a slight chance that all this negative publicity would actually draw more attention to the film, increase ticket sales, and lead to a successful debut. Unfortunately for Disney, the opposite happened. Fans knew this movie was going to suck way before it ever released, and no matter how many professional critics on Rotten Tomatoes are writing positive reviews, the fans have made their statement with a lack of support. And as a result, Snow White has suffered a disastrous opening weekend at the global box office, earning only $87.3 million worldwide, which sounds like a lot until you realize that it had a staggering $250 million production budget. Some reports suggest is actually closer to $300 million after reshoots and—
Oh, let me see. The whole issue is she's bringing politics into children's movies while causing issues with co-stars in the film is what brought her down. Not only that, but the way she made the princess act was completely out of character and was a roller coaster of randomness. I watched the movie with the fam last month for my mom's birthday because she loves the Princess Snow White. True. But you guys got to say it, because if I say it, then I'm going to get in trouble and then YouTube comments are on my ass. I want you guys to know that I'm very like, whoa with it, because if I flat out just say it, motherfucker's gonna be in the comments, Kenji, you son of a, you want everybody to die? Oh, you like Trump. And it's like, I didn't say that. I'm not saying that. You know what I mean? So I just gotta wait for y'all to say it. But anyways, we're gonna continue.
And marketing costs. That means they had a whopping 70% loss, making it one of Disney's biggest box office bombs in recent history. This performance is nearly exactly the same as The Little Mermaid. It had the same budget and had a very similar opening weekend. However, The Little Mermaid was actually a pretty good remake with positive reviews. Fans later decided to give the movie a shot, which resulted in a $569 million world.
When I watched this movie with my family, or fucking leaving the movie theater. As we're walking out, my dad's like, y'all not gonna say nothing? And we're like, what? He's like, we're not gonna talk about the elephant in the room? Why was she black? Like, what the He watched the whole fucking movie, and that's what he says at the end? What the I can't, bro. He's hilarious, bro.
Worldwide box office earnings, but due to the overwhelming agreement for people who actually watch the movie that it sucks, and then people straight up boycotting, I don't think Snow White's gonna get a second wind. This is a bomb. And Rachel Zegler's response to the box office failure was nothing short of delusional.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
She sounds like she's gonna cry. What does that mean? Can someone break that down? It just means she's mad, no one liked it, and she has people watching it for her. Wait, what? Does she think, but is Rachel Zegler like that big of an actress? Like, okay, I'll go to the movies to watch a fucking Will Smith movie. I'll go to the movies to watch a Denzel Washington movie. Do people go to the movies to be like, oh my God, Rachel Zegler, we gotta go watch her? Is that a thing?
And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
People who already thought Zegler was a narcissist have officially confirmed their feelings after seeing this statement. They suspected she was trying to make this film about her. They suspected that she did not care for the legacy of Disney and that all she wanted was the spotlight.
I think she just got rage baited way too much. I think she's like chronically online, cares too much about that like social media, performative activism, you know what I mean? And just got sucked up into all that bullshit. And then just got rage baited, started going crazy. Like that one artist, what's her name? Beep boopy, beep-ba-doo boopy. You know what I mean? How she got rage baited and shit. I feel like it was like that, dude. But just ended up fucking up a whole franchise, right?
For herself. And honestly, this response makes it seem like those assumptions are now justified. But it's a confusing response because the film was a massive flop. Like essentially she's saying, haha, my movies are so great, you just have to line up and you have to watch them. But that's not the case. Yikes. People are actually not waiting in line for this film specifically because of her. And as easy as it is to continuously blame her for the failure of this film, it's only fair to admit that Rachel Zegler's performance was actually decent. She is a great singer, and she definitely performed well considering most of what makes the film actually bad was outside of her control. Like most Disney live-action remakes, Snow White just felt a bit bland and lacked the magic of the original. The CGI look.
Wait, go back.
What the is that hair? That little ass bob.
The original. The CGI looked cheap, the colors are dull and boring, the evil queen didn't feel very evil at all. These remakes often struggle to capture the same charm, making them feel like a corporate cash grab. But since Disney will lose money on this film, perhaps they won't make this same mistake going forward. But the biggest learning lesson for Disney here is that the internet outrage is not fake. When people say, hey, your main character is insufferable and I will not spend my money to see this movie, they're not lying. When people say they genuinely want politics to remain out of a children's movie, they are not lying. And when people say it's better to just invent new stories instead of alter the classics, they are not lying.
Heavy on
people
that.
won, but the truth is, this film should have never been made. Walt Disney himself was extremely protective of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. This was essentially his baby. Walt reportedly rejected multiple ideas for sequels, including a proposed short called Snow White Returns, and was adamant that the original story should not be altered or expanded, as he believed Snow White was a standalone masterpiece that should remain untouched. And it's extremely evident that Disney should have honored their creator's one wish.
Hand over the stone.